So what we are going to talk about today, we are going to talk about solving literal equations. Okay? This sounds kind of strange, but a literal equation is an equation with two or more variables. So some of you are not going to like how they look because there's going to be more than one variable. What's a variable? It's a letter, okay? There's going to be multiple letters involved here. Okay, now, in general, anything with more than one letter that's an equation is a literal equation. But specifically, we have formulas, okay? A formula is a type of literal equation that shows how one variable is related to another. Okay, you know some formulas. When I say the word formula, what comes to mind? Length times width, is that what I heard? Okay, like area equals length times width. That's a formula. What else? Well, that's, yep.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
And that is a formula. Yep. There we go. Page 13. Sorry, I got to get something posted for my... Okay, so what we are going to do, and you're just going to have to, like, be okay with it. Our job today is going to take a literal equation and solve for one of the variables. So I might say, hey, area equals length times width, solve for L. There's no numbers. Nope. Just solve for L, okay? So we're really going to have to understand how to solve an equation so that we can do it when it's not always numbers involved, okay? So we're going to go slow. We're going to be patient. We're going to really talk things through when we do this, okay? Surprised nobody brought these up when I said what are some formulas that you know, right? Distance equals rate times time. You've talked about that in science class, right? Not in elementary school?
No.
Really? Man. Distance equals rate times time. So, like if I'm going 35 miles per hour for 1 hour, then I'm going to travel 35 miles. Okay. So like, if I'm going 35 miles per hour for 2 hours, then I'm going to go 70 miles. That's what that does. Okay? I like to do that when I'm driving. All right. So let's go to the next page. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Okay? So look at number 1. Yeah. It's 150. Yeah. So here. This is how we'll finish notes, and then we'll have homework in the book. So just so you have those. Okay? All right. So what do the instructions say? Solve the literal equation for y. So I want everyone to... there we go. I want everybody to circle y. Did you circle y? I want y to be by itself. So, how is 2x tied to y? Okay, it's subtracted. So how do we undo subtraction?
Addition.
We add. So what we're going to do is we are going to add 2x to both sides. Okay, these are going to undo each other. That was the goal. And left, we have y equals, what's on our right side? 15 doesn't have an x, so we have to leave it as 15 plus 2x. I have solved the equation for y. That, I know it doesn't seem like, oh, I have an answer of 5. No. Okay, we are taking an equation and we are rewriting it. Okay, we are rearranging it. Okay. All right. We're going to skip number 2. Number 2 is pretty much the same. Let's go to number 3. What am I going to ask you to do?
Circle Y.
Circle y. There's y. Okay. Now to me, it looks like there's a couple things on the side with y. I want to keep y on the right side and move everything else. So what do I need to move first, the 8 or the 5?
8.
Okay. Which one is the furthest away? 8. So, okay, and if you need to draw your fence, draw your fence. 8 is the furthest away. So we need to undo 8 by subtracting it to the other side. Because 8 minus 8 undoes each other. Okay? So on the right side, we still have 5y. Ooh, what do we have on the left?
Minus 2 minus 8.
Okay, and what is minus 2 minus 8? Okay. Okay. 5x minus 10. Okay, is y by itself?
No.
Y is still not by itself. Okay, the 5 is tied to the y by multiplication. So I heard a suggestion of dividing by 5. Does that sound good? Okay, because 5 divided by 5 will cancel out. Y is now by itself. Can we take 5x divided by 5? Can we take 5 divided by 5? Yeah, so that's like 1x. Do I need to write the 1? No. Oops. Minus 2. There we go. So far, not terrible, right?
It's a little confusing with those problems.
Yeah, why can it, can you explain further why it can go into 5x as well? Oh wait, yeah.
So this is dividing into both things. So I took 5x divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? And 10 divided by 5 is 2.
What if it was like 5x minus 11?
That is a very good question. So Vivi asked, what if it's 5x minus 11 equals 5y, and we divide both sides by 5? Then this is how you have a couple different options, but I would say we can take 5x divided by 5 to get us 1x, but then you would have to leave 11 fifths as 11 fifths because it doesn't divide evenly.
And you only do that for literal equations, right? For formulas?
So since we have multiple variables, we're going to see that happen.
But you won't with just one variable.
Right, we'll have a number. Yeah, Joey.
How do you figure out where to add or subtract?
So we always have to undo the operation. So since this was a positive 8 being added to 5y, we subtracted it to undo it.
Yeah, but my question is, how how do you know which side to subtract?
Well, you have to do the same thing to both sides.
I'm saying, which side, like how can you tell which side you need to add or subtract?
Okay, so whatever side you have your variable you're solving for, that has to stay and everything else has to go. So I knew, since I had y right here, I want it by itself, I needed to get rid of the 8 and I needed to get rid of the 5. So I decided to get rid of the 8, we needed to subtract. So I do it to both sides. Okay? Okay, let's do one more in that section. Let's do number 5. Number 5 is a little bit sneaky. Okay, where's y?
In the middle.
Here's y right there. Okay, I want y by itself.
It's already.
No, it is not. I need y equals. Okay, I see a 3x there. How do we undo that 3x? Okay, so if I add 3x, what is 3x plus 3x? That's not what I want, is it? So let's try instead. There we go. Let's try to, if I subtract 3x, does that cancel out? Okay, those cancel out. So over here, I have negative 4 minus 3x. What do we have on the left side?
Negative y.
Oh, good job. Negative y. Okay, that negative is still there in front of the y. Okay. Have we solved for y?
No.
No. You can either multiply or divide by that negative to undo it. So what I think is the easiest to think about it is dividing by that negative 1, because technically we have a negative 1 right there. So if we divide by negative 1, we have y equals negative 4 divided by negative 1 is a positive 4. And minus 3x divided by negative 1 is a plus 3x. Okay. Okay. In number 8, we're going to solve for x. Do you have an issue with that?
Yes.
What's your issue, Zoe?
9 has 2 variables.
Okay, what'd you say? Okay, so first of all, there's 2 more variables other than x. Is that what you said? Okay, we have x, q, and z. What else is a problem? Joey?
Variables on the left.
That's okay.
Well, another thing is that 9 has both x and z together.
Okay. Still not my biggest worry. Have you tried to circle x?
There's 2.
Oh, there are 2 x's. Here's one, and here's one. Whatever you do, please pay attention to this example. There are 2 of the same variable that I need to solve for. Can I combine like terms?
No.
No, because one of them doesn't have a z and one of them does. But I need the finished answer to be x equals. Okay, so this is what we're going to have to do. I only want 1x. So let's think of the distribution property. If I were to create a distribution where x would distribute, what would I put right here?
3.
I would put 3 plus, what would I put right here?
9.
9z. Do you see how I have x times 3 plus 9z? And now I only have x written one time. Interesting. How is that parentheses tied to x? It's being multiplied. So in order to undo that multiplication, this is the weirdest thing, I know. When we divide, those cancel, and this is literally, for our literal equation, our answer, q divided by 3 plus 9z equals x. Isn't that crazy? So here's the deal. If I gave you a number for z and a number for q, you would have zero problem solving that equation. But since we have variables, you have to really think about your order of operations and what you need to do. Okay? Now, these that I have going for me right here, they've all been like X's, Y's, Z's, Q's, whatever. What I want to now look at are actual like formulas that you either have seen or will see in your mathematical career and resolve for those. So I'm going to hand you a blue piece of paper. Okay? And this is how we are going to finish our notes, is on this blue piece of paper. I forgot that there's extras. Okay, so. I know, we'll do these together. Okay.
Have we seen Miles today?
Okay. Equals MC squared. Okay, so real quick, Miles. Okay. All right. So we are going to look at, what is this equation? Area of a triangle.
I say F, but there's no F. It says solve for F or H, but it says B. There's no F. Solve for
Solve for H. I don't know why it looks like that, but okay. So this is the area of a triangle formula. Okay? What we need to do is we need to solve for H. Okay, so maybe you want to circle H. We need to get rid of 1/2 B. Okay? So, yes, 1/2 and B, bless you, are tied to H by multiplication. But do you really want to divide by 1/2?
No.
Dividing by 1/2 is the same as what?
Dividing by 2.
What by 2?
Dividing a number.
Multiplying by 2. So if I want to divide by 1/2, that is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. Okay, so this creates 1/2 times 2 goes away, and we have 2A equals BH. Okay. Now, how do we get H by itself? Divide by B. Since B and H are tied together by multiplication, we will undo it by dividing. So H is 2A divided by B. Okay, what's the benefit of that? Maybe I have 3 or 4 problems where I know the area and I know the base and I need to find the height. So if I just rearrange the formula, now I can plug in area and base, area and base, area and base. And one quick, simple calculation, I have the height. Okay, that's essentially what we're doing. We're rearranging the formula so we can use it in a different way to save us time later. Okay? How about you try 2 and 3 and stop? Just 2 and 3 and stop. We'll talk about them together, but let's just see what you can do. Number 2 looks a lot like number 1. Try it.
Solve for
So you're not solving for, like, you don't need to worry about a square root because the square stays with the v and just the v. The square is with the v, not the n. So how do you undo that too? What do you need to do that too? Okay, do that first, buddy. What do you need to do with the 2? How do you undo the 2? Yeah, multiply both sides by 2.
What you get?
Okay.
Oh, divide by b.
All right, we're going to go ahead and talk about these 2 problems. Okay. In number 2, if we're going to solve for b, okay, Aubrey, what was your first step? Okay, divided by 1/3, which means the same thing as multiplying by 3, right? So 1/3 times 3 cancel out, and we have 3v equals big B times h. Okay? David, what'd you do next?
I didn't ever divide by 8.
Okay, divided by h. because H and B were being multiplied. So you have 3V divided by H equals big B? Yeah, good. Does anybody know what formula this is for?
Isn't it
Volume.
V for volume. Volume of a pyramid. So, I mean, the triangle part was ish. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about number 3. Now, number 3, I gave you a little bit of struggle on your own time. Okay, what's the first thing we should probably move if we are solving for M? The 2. And how do we move the 2? Okay, since we are dividing by 2, to undo it, we need to multiply by 2. So we have 2K equals mv squared. Now, we would like to solve for m. How is v squared tied to m? Multiplication. So all we have to do, people, is divide v squared. Those cancel. And we now have m by itself equals 2k divided by v squared. Yeah. High five to you if you got that.
Yeah, give me a high five.
this one's so hard.
Okay, now let's not get scared. Let's not get scared. Let's look at number 4. Did you circle B?
We didn't do number 4.
I know, but some of us are looking ahead and are nervous. Let's go ahead and circle B. Okay. Now, this is what I want you to think about. What is the closest thing to B?
C.
So I would say C is the closest. So C is not the first to go. D is further away, so D is the first to go. Okay, D for David. You are very excited about D. How do we undo D?
Multiply.
Okay, we need to multiply both sides by D since D is being divided into. That's a lot of D words that I just had to say. Okay, so we are multiplying to undo the division. So now we have D times A, duh. Ooh, I had a question over here. Could you write A times D? Yes. DA and AD, multiplication is commutative. So some of you really like things in order. Totally fine. But if you leave it as da, that's cool too. I think it looks funny as da. Okay, now we are solving for B. So Camden, how do we undo C? We need to subtract C since it's being added. So da minus C equals B. Isn't that fun? No, you don't like it? Joey doesn't like it. Zoe's all about it.
So hard.
Now, this is one of those sections. If you don't practice, you're not going to get any better at it. That's not what I'm saying. I don't know who said that. All right, let's look at number 5. Ooh, what formula is this? What is it? Celsius to Fahrenheit. So we're like the only country who uses Fahrenheit. Okay? So if you put in our temperature of 85 degrees in for F, and you punch it in, C is what our degrees would be in Celsius. Now, let's say you're watching the Paralympics, and it's like, ooh, it's 23 degrees Celsius. What does that mean to you? So, let's solve for F. Listen to me. let's solve for f. That way, we can plug those different numbers in for C, and it'll give us our Fahrenheit. Okay, that is the purpose of this, okay? So if I want to solve for F, I want you to vote. Are we moving 32 or are we moving 5/9 first? Who votes 32? Who votes 5/9? Okay, so I'm going to remind you, the closer it is to the variable, the further last it is to go. Who wants to move 5/9 first? Who wants to move 32 first? Oh, people, listen to me. The closer it is, the last it goes.
32 is closer, right?
32 is closer. Because it's inside the parentheses with F.
Don't you have to do it for it though?
Let's not. Let's not. So, my lovely people, let's go ahead and multiply both sides by what? 9/5. Dividing by 5/9 is just like multiplying by 9/5. So we have 9/5 C equals F minus 32. Now this is the easy part. What do? We're going to add 32 and hopefully continue to breathe. We doing okay over there? Okay. So 9/5 C plus 32 equals F for Fahrenheit. So if you're watching the Paralympics and they say it's 23 degrees Celsius, you can plug in 23 for C. So if I take 23 times 9/5 and I add 32, it's 73 degrees there. Okay? Does anybody know what freezing is in Celsius?
0 degrees.
It's 0, okay? So when it's 23 degrees Celsius, that's actually warm, okay? All right, last example. Joey, it's okay. Last example. What are we solving for? We are solving for y. Circle y. Y is because we're solving for y. Are you okay? Okay. What do we need to do? Ooh, so I have the suggestion of subtract AX. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Why not? B is closer, which is why we have to save it. We want to move the further away one, okay? Okay. All right, so AX minus AX cancel, and we have BY equals C minus AX, okay? And here's where we just need to be okay with our answer looking crazy, okay? How do we undo the B? We divide by B. But you know what? Dividing by B, I'm not going to like try to simplify that. So I am okay if you leave C minus AX, all of that divided by B, and just call it a day. Okay? Now, if you decide to write it as C divided by B minus A divided by BX, that does mean the same thing. But since we're not working with the actual number, I think this way is probably better for you to leave it. Okay?